Hi everybody, how you doing? It is 8:17 a.m. on the 24th of January, 26, year 26. Okay, I was notice this video called Disclosure Day Trailer Breakdown. Well, it's coming up in I think June 12th, 2026. So it's coming up in a couple of months. It's a Steven Spielberg. So what caught my eye is this cardinal. There's a red cardinal, and there's also buck deer, just like Leave the World Behind and The Knowing. Remember the movie The Knowing? They had buck deer as well. Now, what I want to show you is you see this. This is representing the cardinal that's in the movie. It's a red cardinal. And remember, red cardinals are appointed by the Pope. Okay? Now, when I told you about these things coming out, images coming out my eyes, this, before my phone upgraded and it took off the date, so I think it's from 2024 or 2025, they started taking it off and putting numbers. But I'm glad they have the date at this time, because on 2022, September 15th, 15th, this was the image in my right eye. Does that not look like a cardinal? And then, as I'm sitting here looking at this, I was noticed there's a face right here as well. Come on. You can see the cardinal bird right there. See? His feathers go back like that. The red cardinal bird. And then there's a face right here. You can see his eyeball right there. So I'm telling you guys, maybe, perhaps, oh, and I think there's a face on this side too. Plus, I had a dream about a red cardinal. I think it was around 2022, 2023, or it might have been before 2022, or maybe it was the year 2022. I didn't write it down, but I definitely remember it. I only remember parts of it. So the part that I remember is I was in back of some car, and there was two people up in front, and I think it was a guy and a girl, and we were out in the woods somewhere, and I had my wallet. See how big it is? So I had my wallet, but when I was sitting in the back seat, my wallet was sitting in the back window. You know how in some of the cars that has that, like on a Buick or something, it has that panel by the back window? Well, I had it sitting there because I was looking out the back window, looking at some house, because I think these two people were doing something with this house, robbing it or something. And I was trapped in the car. Somehow I could not get out of the car. And so I ran out of somehow I got out of the car through the window or something. And it's pouring down rain. And as it's pouring down rain, I'm going down this dark road that I don't know where I'm at either. And then I remember my wallet. So I tried to go back and get my wallet, and I think I did get my wallet. I'm not sure how I got that. I can't quite remember that part. But anyway, they spot me when I come back and grab my wallet, and I'm running down this dirt driveway, and then hit the road. When I get to the road, I start running, and the rain is coming down so hard. I mean, it was like, it hurt my face. But I can hear them behind me running after me. Well, as I'm running down the road, on the left side of me oh no, I know what it was. It was on my left side, but over my left shoulder come this Cardinal Bird crossing my path as I was running. And I stopped, and the bird went right into the creek. There's like a ditch there that had water and, you know, like plants and stuff like that. So the red cardinal comes over my left shoulder, right in front of me, and goes right into the ditch. Well, I stop and I'm like thinking, oh, the poor bird. And then I couldn't see the bird. And then so I got back up on the road and I continued running. And then next thing you know, the red cardinal comes flying from my left side in front of me over my right shoulder. And the only thing that comes through my mind at that time, when he come flying back from the left in front of me to my right shoulder, he had a stick, like a twig. I want to say a twig, a wooden twig in his mouth. And I seen it when he was coming at me, and he had that twig in his mouth. And it's like, I don't know, it's like, it was so rainy and everything coming down that when he come flying at me, and I noticed the twig in his mouth, and he went right over my right shoulder. And I thought, and shortly after that, I woke up. Well, then, remember in 2020, I think it was, I can't remember which month, March or May, but I think it was in March. Yeah, it was in March of 2020. I was in this bathtub. The color of this is the color of the walls, the blue. I have blue eyes, by the way, if you haven't noticed. The color of the walls of the bathroom, or not the bathroom, it was like this big room. It's probably about the size of this room. And it, not this part, but I want to say this part right here. From here to here, I don't know how well you can see the distance of that. But the bathtub, it was a big bathtub laying out. The walls were all that color blue right there. I woke up in this bathtub totally naked, and I remember going like this, splashing my feet in the water, and off to the side wall. You know how we usually have the faucets at the ends of the bathtub on each side to turn on? Well, this faucet, it wasn't even a faucet, it was a big gold lion's head, and there was water coming out of it. And I was feeling the water, and it was warm, and it was comfortable, and I was having fun in the bathtub, actually kind of like a little kid would do, splashing and everything. Well, here's this side of the bathtub, and it drops, and when it drops, it's a stairway that goes down, right? And so the water is overflowing on the side of the wall of this bathtub, and there's a doorway at the bottom, and there's this bright light that's beaming through the cracks of the door. And I thought, oh my gosh, oh no, I wonder if there's a light on the floor. And so I reach over to try to find a knob where the faucet was pouring out water on the lion's head, and there's no turn-off valve. It's just strictly water coming out because the bathtub's already overflowing, and it's overflowing the wall. So I get up out of the bathtub, and I'm walking around the top trying to look for a towel, and there's no towel. There's not even a towel rack. So I'm walking down the stairs down to this door. Well, I'm being careful walking down the stairs because I'm afraid I'm going to slip on the marble, because that's what it was. The bathroom was all blue marble. And so I get to the bottom, and the bathtub is up above, and there's this solid marble blue wall, and it's just overflowing down to the floor. And then I look at my feet. So say here's the door that's closed, and behind it is this bright white light beaming through. And so I'm looking down at my feet, and I'm going like this, splashing my feet. And then I'm thinking, oh my gosh, if I touch that doorknob, if it's going to shock me, because I think my mindset is I'm thinking there's a lamp in the water, on the floor. So I touched the doorknob real quick like this, and it didn't zap me or anything. I'm like, oh. So as soon as I reach and turn the doorknob, it's like the door opened by itself. It just took over and opened. And then I seen Jesus just hovering up in the air. And as I'm trying to focus my eyes in on him because it's so bright, and that's what the bright light was, it was Jesus. And when I'm looking at Jesus, I finally focus in on him because it doesn't take very long. I mean, at first, it's just like super bright. Like when you go from a dark room and look at a light bulb, how it gets so blinding, that part. And then my eyes immediately focus in on Jesus floating. But the interesting thing is that when I'm looking at him, there's all these like beams going everywhere, right? But the beams that were coming towards me, it's like when it got right to here, I can see like in a circle, it looks like fiber optics, but they're rainbow colors. That's all I can see coming off him. And I go, hey, I'm totally childish, right? I'm like, hey. And then he's pointing like this, pointing behind me from the door that I just come out. And I remember turning, looking through the door, and the wall of the bathtub that I was telling you that water was coming down, he opened up like this big, like I want to say wormhole, or a Stargate. I don't know what it was, but it was a big circle. And I remember I'm close to Jesus now, and I'm turning and I'm looking. As soon as I see him open it, I bend down to look through the hole, and there's waterfall on the other side. You can see the difference between the two waterfalls. There's two waterfalls, one on this side from the water coming from the bathtub, and on the other side, there's water coming down as well. But you can actually see all these colors and plant life and stuff. I mean, it looked like a garden. And I think that's what it is. It was a garden, and he was pointing to me. He was pointing for me to go that way. And when I seen the garden, I was like, oh. And then I turned and looked at Jesus. I go, how did you do that? And then I woke up. Now, I didn't take pictures of him, but in May of 2020, the whole tops of my toes were, what do I say? They were burnt. It was like the whole tops of my toes on the feet on both sides were burnt. But it didn't hurt. It was the most bizarre thing. I was like, my feet looked like they'd been fried. And even my neighbors and stuff were commenting on, how did your feet get so burnt? I was like, I don't know. I kind of woke up that way. And I really don't know. But they kind of, later, probably a couple of weeks later, they started peeling. And then that was that. And then October 19th, 2020 is when I was sitting, I lost my dog, Peanut, the brown one over there. I'm not sure if I can zoom in the top corner. So Dingo, she passed away in 2017. I think, 2017. And he passed away in 2020 on October 19th. And I remember coming home, laying on the couch right here, this couch right here, but in the other apartment. And I was crying. I was like, God, what am I going to do now? What am I going to do with my time? Because I've had the two dogs for close to 14 years. So they're pretty much my life. And then that's when I showed you that Gabriel with Michael had this black book open, and then Gabriel was posting on these computer screens. There were huge computer screens, flat screens like this, that were lined up on the wall. And then I was sitting between God's feet because God had one of his legs out like this, and I'm sitting right here, and I took my left leg and I was putting it up against his, comparing my foot to his foot. And I was like, oh, he does have brass feet, or the color of brass feet. And then when I reached up and put my foot against his, because he had those like Roman kind of sandals on that were laced up his leg. And then I was getting ready to go down and touch his foot. And then as soon as I about ready to touch his foot, I was like, oh. I go straight back up and I'm like, oh, he's right behind me. I'm sitting between his legs. He can hear everything I'm saying. And then as soon as I was thinking that, he went and reached for my like rib cage on both sides from behind, and he just picked me up. And then that's when we're like on this big, huge, round hover platform. It kind of lifted up to these computer screens, and I'm standing there looking face to face at these computer screens. It goes to the first one. The first one was a periodic table. Then we go to the second one, and I go, those notes look familiar. Go to the third one, I'm like, they got the same handwriting as me. And then I turn back, and I go to Michael, these are my handwriting. These are my notes. And then, of course, we went from the next screen to the next screen to the next screen. And then the very last screen, it was totally dark. And it was so interesting because it felt like that I could look, like I put my head in the screen, like I was looking out somewhere. And that last screen, I can't remember what it was, because I remember looking and then turning back and going, like I'm giving them a look like I don't understand. And then I looked again, and then when I turned back like this, that's when God had pulled me into him. And then I lit up as gold as that light right there. I don't know how well you can see that gold, but inside I just lit up. And then, I don't know, it lasted for it seemed like 30 seconds or more. And I'm just laying there on the couch, absorbing all this. I don't know, the energy and stuff, it just felt so comfortable, so loving, so relaxing. And then all of a sudden he goes, I'll meet you on the second plane. And and then the light stopped, and I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Then I woke up I opened my eyes up on the couch. I'm like, oh my goodness, that was such an amazing feeling. And then a couple of years later, I noticed things were happening with my vision in my eyes, right? And I think it was happening on purpose to get me to start looking at my eyes. Now, and then this movie is coming out this year, Steven Spielberg. All Will Be Disclosed is the name of it. All Will Be Disclosed in Spielberg 6/12/26. And when I seen this, I was like, my goodness, I have that red cardinal right there in my eye. Now, is that a trip? Let's see here. Too bad I couldn't make them smaller right next to each other. That way I can get them both in the video. And then, of course, you guys all seen the other images coming out of my neck and my face. And I even showed you some that are coming out of my chest, too. actually I took some pictures yesterday, and you can see lots of faces, but I'm going to wait till I get another tan, because I have this tanning session. I want to see if I can see something else in here too that I didn't see before. I'm not sure. I'll have to look at it later. But I should take all of them and then show you. So I wonder if this disclosure. Oh, and the name of the news station is spelled KCXE, Channel 4. I got to looking at that. I'm like, KC. So this is my name. And this is the name of the news channel. Check that out. KZ. I think that's, I think the XE makes a Z sound or E sound. So I was like going, that is just weird. I don't know, you guys, but this is wild. Isn't that interesting? And in the eye, in my eye, there's a cardinal. And I had that cardinal vision.